Okay, let's talk about routing in Angular here. So routing means we are making the page a single page application, and there will be one section in the page, let's say that is div ng view, and this section will be replaced by the various views of the page. So the way we will see this is, like, right now we are on a sample page, so we need to have some links so that we make it a single page application. So let's say we say a href equals // so this will be our home page, or you can say the main page, and this is the link I'm putting. And second one I can do is, let's say a href #login, so we are going to have a login view separate. And third, we will put register for now, and we call it register. So now we have put three separate views here. So if we go and check the page, there are three separate anchor tags that have been put. Now the thing that we want is, whenever we click login, we want the new view to be loaded here, but sample page should remain intact. That is what is called a single page application. Now these three views will have their own HTML files. So let's create a new HTML file over here, and we call it, and what I'll do is I'll put them into separate folder. So I'll say these are partials, and here I'll say this is login.html, and in login.html we simply put one tag called login. Let's copy this, and same way we also create another partial, and I call it register. Save it, and we call it partials register.html, and we create one more similar to this, and let's say we call that home. So this I'll call as, this is our home partial, and save it in partials, and let's say this is home.html. So now we have three separate partials created, and what we want to do is, in index, when user goes to any of the partial view, that particular partial should be loaded here. Now one requirement to do that is, first we have to set a base href equals, so we have to mention that this is the base for any Angular path that we are giving. So that is the first need. Second need is, we need to have the Angular route min.js included. This is the second thing. Now third thing what we will do is, we need to have our JS file created for Angular. So what I'm going to do is, I'll organize it better, and I'll say var bz module. So I'm defining a module, angular dot module, and this is our app name, and here we mention our dependencies. So I'll put, this is ng route. So this is a dependency we are defining, and since this is a JS file, I'll put that in a separate JS folder, and I'll call it bz being0 app.js. So now we have a separate JS file which should be included in our index.js. So I'll put a script src equals, and here we see JS, so I have directly taken that. Yeah, so we have our app defined, our controller defined, our JS file which defines this module, and JS file I have included in the file. Yeah, so now when we use routing, what we need to do is, we need to configure our module to have the router in place. So here what we say is, in config we typically say, take a function and pass the route provider to it, and this route provider will take care of the routing of partials. Now the way we configure routing is, it's very simple, similar to switch case. So we say route provider dot when, that means when somebody comes to slash, we need to specify two things here: the template URL, which page should be shown when somebody hits slash. So the page will be from partials / home.html, because that's the default partial that we have created. And also we define, along with it, we also define who is going to be the controller. So for now I'll say home ctrl, and we can define different controllers for every new partial that we define, or every new route we define. So these are called the routes. So when user comes to /login, so we will say go to login partial, and when we say register, go to register partial, and this will be register, and save it. Now here we can define various controller. So register will have register controller, and this will have login ctrl. Now we have used three separate controllers, so we should define those controllers also. bgmode.controller, and here we say this is home ctrl function. Right now I'll leave these controllers blank. We will see how to use them going forward. So one controller, two, and three. So for all partials we are giving separate controllers, login, and this will be register. And one main controller also we have to give, because in our HTML page we have defined the main controller. So this is being 0 ctrl. So let this be the main controller. Well, so now we have four controllers, one for the main page, three separate for partials, and we have also defined the routing for the partials. Now after we have defined this routing and we have given these hyperlinks, let's go and see what the page looks like. So since it is by default page loaded, so we are at the home partial. If I click login, we see we are going into login partial. If I click register, we are going to register partial. So this is how we make an application, single page application. In single page, this page is not changing, this heading is not changing, only this portion of the page is changing, and that portion of the page is ng view. So the way this routing works is this ng view will be replaced by the corresponding partial that we are specifying here. So home, login, or register.